Gonna say anything?
Could be held against you.
So this is the family room.
It's the outside area too.
You know, well,
You know what God's like that?
Roadhouse.
I think you saw that with Patrick Swayze. It's only got 1 star, but it's pretty good.
think it's bad. Our carpet had that much tiles, glass, broken glass, grass, twigs. Even Burger King
All
had.
the floor, all the stuff plastered down.
Yeah, I mean, this is clean. Ours looked like that much junk on it. It is, we had to shovel out the junk before we pull out the carpets. Upstairs was even worse because all the pillowcases controlled with the segregators or, I mean, all, especially your kids. This thing I need to
When you came over, did you go over the bridge?
Yeah, we saw the boat.
Oh, that bridge is closed for 2 days, 2.5 days.
They're-
Oh, yeah.
They're
All
all
of
cement.
all of the concrete telephone poles.
Give this guy a wave.
Gene Robinson and then Jenkins and Glasgow will come in as the extra defensive backs.
Well, as the game progresses, you're going to see Hayes and Kennedy both in that lineup. Two rookies, two massive guys inside, something Seattle's really needed, well, in the last 5 or 6 years.
5 yards on the first down. That's Anderson in motion. They like to throw him in motion. Instead, it's a pitch to Mustard. Muster running through tacklers has a first down at the 35-yard line. Dwayne Harper finally got him down as he just ran right through. Looks like a bull car.
That could be a concussion.
No, it's Robert Blackman, the rookie from Baylor, the second-round pick, the strong safety. Muster have met him head-on.
Well, Muster, this is what they wanted from Muster when they drafted him. Excellent blocking by Van Horn. There is the hit right on the helmet at that point, and it looks like that's what did it.
And with it, a timeout. 3 minutes gone, first quarter.
No matter where you look, there's Mazda. We're introducing new products like the Miata, setting new sales records, winning the respect of the automotive press, and winning awards for both quality and customer satisfaction. But most important, we're making thousands of people feel just right. It just feels right.
It's that special time of year when the days start getting shorter. The weather starts getting cooler. And John Deere prices start to fall. Like the prices on our walk-behind mowers and our rear-engine riding mowers, even our 100 series lawn tractors. But remember, when autumn begins at your John Deere dealer, the fall will be over. And with John Deere Credit, you make no payments until April.
In today's higher revving and hotter running engines, wear is a greater problem than ever before. Oil breakdown can shorten the life of vital engine parts. That's why there's Castrol. Castrol provides maximum protection against viscosity and thermal breakdown. So use Castrol, because driving today can be a grind. Castrol, engineered for today's smaller cars.
Welcome back. Robert Blackman being attended to on the far sidelines. Nesby Glasgow replaces him. The Bears are quickly into Seattle territory. Jim Harbaugh, the third different starting quarterback for Mike Ditka in the last 3 years. Jim McMahon 2 years ago. Last year it was Tom Zach, and now Harbaugh goes for Ditka. Number 1 pick out of Michigan. Was Ditka trying to unwind himself after those 6 straight losses to end 1989. The Bears really toppled from their throne. Harbaugh looking big downstairs. Oh, incomplete and almost is intercepted. Intercepted by the Seahawks. Eugene Robinson, after a fumble, comes up with it. And now a flag goes down, and they may rule that not a fumble, but an illegal forward pass as the ball ricochets through hands, and the Bears turn it over.
Well, Harbaugh, this is the pass he talked about in visiting with him yesterday. He wanted to throw that seam pass to his tight end after faking a run. Well, the fake wasn't very good. It held no one. And then he lobbed the ball up between people, one of the most dangerous kind of passes to throw.
We have an interception and an illegal forward pass on the return. 5-yard penalty. First down.
As we had indicated, first you'll see Ned Bolcar get a hand on it, deflected it, and goes through Thornton, bounces around. Bolcar gets the interception and then tries to lateral it, but it's a forward lateral to Robinson. I'm not sure that was really intent.
Dick, that was purely a fumble. Purely a fumble. Now, would that be an exchange and a replay, I would think. But that was not a forward pass. The ball just came flying out of there when he was hit.
I wonder if they're checking that on the review team, and they may well be.
No, they are.
Chuck Knox losing 63 pounds, as you saw. A much different look on the sidelines of Knox. He's gone from a 48 to a 42 coat, from a 42 waist to 35, lighter than we played guard at Juniati College 103 years ago.
I liked his look before, to be honest with you, but he feels great, feels healthy, revitalized. Now he's got to get chemistry into this team, infusing these young players.
Remember, this year, a new NFL policy, 2 minutes is all the review team is allowed before they make a decision.
Play stands as ruled. First down.
They ruled that that was a forward. They ruled that was a intended forward.
Oh, gee, they might as well make it 1 minute then, Dick. Or 30 seconds. Why even bother?
So first down, Seattle at the 7-yard line. As the Bears squander an early chance.
Well, here comes our run and shoot.
Three wide receivers to the right as Tommy Keene is the man in motion and setting. And the give to John L. Williams. Oh, hit right around the helmet, and a flag goes down. The refrigerator, William Perry, getting a meat hook. It appeared he got part of the mask of the ball carrier, John L. Williams.
At this point, Perry looks to be at his best, or at least since his glory years of 85 and maybe 86. He's lost weight. He's around 330. Wait, what was it, Dick? 295.
Defense. Still first down.
50. It would be Perry with it. They just had the wrong number. Looked like Perry reaching over on the face mask. That's Perry. But he weighed 298 this spring, but went on a little vacation, came back at 320. But right now, this is the best weight he's had, and he's looked the best. So they're counting on him inside.
From the 15 now, and Craig goes back to the shotgun. Cross field and complete for 5 yards to Tommy Sugar Kane, third-year receiver out of Syracuse.
That time, Craig had a little more time, but again, he threw the ball late. Now, here's Hampton, Dan Hampton, the great, former great anyway, player. Look at his legs are bothering him, Dick.
He's had 10 knee operations. There literally is no cartilage in either knee, just running bone on bone. And
well, damn it, Dick, he shouldn't be playing football. Everybody knows it. Even their sports writers aren't writing him. People are fascinated that the guy's continuing to play rather than being concerned about his health. He shouldn't be on the field. And Mike Ditka himself is suffering from football injuries, and still they're allowing that guy out there. A great campaigner, but he shouldn't be on the field.
And a great leader. 2nd and 5. Craig to the sidelines, incomplete through the hands of Brian Blades, the leading receiver of the Seahawks last year. Blades caught 77, and Lemuel Stinson, 159 pounds a cornerback, made the play.
Well, so far, everything Craig's thrown has been late. Now, this ball's in the air way too late. The defender is getting a jump on the ball. He's going to be there before the receiver. As soon as you see that defender getting a jump on the ball, you know the passes are all way too late. Dave may be concerned about the pass rush, waiting too long to throw the ball.
Craig has always posted good numbers. 89, that wasn't 30 interceptions, just 20. He had 21 touchdowns and 20 interceptions. Craig through the hands of John L. Williams, broken up by Jim Morrissey. Morrissey may have gotten a piece of it, and the Bears have held. Morrissey wearing that famed 51 that Dick Butkus carried as a great Hall of Famer here.
Well, a different kind of player, but still a very effective player. Really underrated. Morrissey will play in the nickel now in place of Mike Singletary, which is a total change. We can talk about that later. But Morrissey's one of their most effective players. He does a lot of things well.
There's Bailey, who broke Tony Dorsett's record for all-purpose yards at Texas A&M. Beautiful kick by Donnelly. Bailey, no fair catch at the 37. He's at the 45-47, a 10-yard return, and we have a timeout. 5 minutes gone, opening quarter, no score.
In baseball, if you traded today, you're playing somewhere else tomorrow. I know. I played for the Twins, the Rangers, the Angels, and then some. And when you've got to move fast, you can't worry about selling your house. I let the Century 21 people worry about that. I trust them. And nobody works harder to get the job done. Hey, I love Century 21.
Hey, Bert.
Uh-oh.
You got a second?
I just wish I wasn't such a good customer.
Century 21.
Haven't we met somewhere before? The Mazda Miata.
It just feels right.
No more big, crummy muffins, because Hostess has created mini muffins. They're bite-sized, and Hostess bakes them with real fruit and nuts. They're moist and yummy, not big and crummy. Mini muffins from the Hostess Breakfast Bake Shop.
Tomorrow morning, experience a new high. Introducing Mountain Fresh Dial with a scent so big, so bold, so bracing. It's right up there with your peak experiences. New Mountain Fresh Dial.
NBC Sports coverage of the National Football League is brought to you by Mazda Cars and Trucks. Mazda, it just feels right. By John Deere. Stop by your John Deere dealer to see why nothing runs like a deer. And by Castrol GTX, engineered for today's smaller cars.
Welcome back. The Soldier Field, billed as a memorial to the World War I veterans in the 20s. A great history here, and certainly to open an NFL season, tough to top Chicago.
This is the very essence of NFL football, the history of it, the history of the Bears, and just the location, Chicago, Illinois. This is it. What a thrill to be here. I've been here under other circumstances. I rather enjoy these.
So the Bears, who had a chance with their first possession for Mike Ditka, but Ned Bolkar in his first NFL game, the former Notre Dame star, with the interception. And now Ditka sees Harbaugh set up at his own 47-yard line. 10 minutes to go, first quarter. In, Michael Davis in motion. And to give to Neil Anderson. And a flag goes down. And as they sort out the penalty, let's check other early scores in the National Football League. The Rams and Green Bay scoreless, and the Chiefs have an early 7-point lead against the Vikings. Tampa Bay and Detroit 7-all in the first. There are two teams that the Bears used to beat up on, and last year the tables were turned.
And that's really made the difference.
Illegal motion, number 84, offense, still first down.
Ron Morris was in motion, the wide receiver. From 85 to 88, the Bears, in building their success and owning the Central Division, beat up on Tampa Bay, Green Bay, and Detroit 23-0 last year. The Bucks and the Packers and the Lions were 5-1. Changing times, and we'll start to learn today. Harbaugh outside to Anderson, and he's dragged down just across the 47 as they get 5 yards and some change back after the penalty, so it'll be 2nd and 9. Robert Blackman, he's okay back in there to make the tackle.
That time they had Blackman outside, Anderson coming out as a flanker, forcing the safety to come out with him, and then they're going to test Blackman against Anderson. That's a good matchup, but Blackman is a fine young prospect. He had his bell rung probably for 20-30 seconds, but I'm sure he's back into it now, and he's the hope for the future. He's the Easley of the 90s.
Kenny Easley was such a star with Seattle, and with the tutor of Eugene Robinson, he playing next to Blackman. Robinson said, now it's my turn to teach. Harbaugh dumps it off inside the master. Breaking tackles again, and finally hit from behind by Tony Woods, number 57, at the 45-yard line of Seattle, where it'll be 3rd down and a long 2.
What a difference in Muster. Now, if he can actually continue like this, be effective running in the open field, catching the ball and blocking, now Mike Ditka's got a fully dimensional backfield. This is the sprint-out screen that really is a departure from the run and shoot. But now you see Brad running with the ball. He's 10 pounds lighter, and he's had a little back surgery that is corrected, and he thinks he's ready to go. He's had his best year, and it's late in coming, but what a difference it can make.
3rd and short, shotgun Harbaugh. So the 2 extra wide receivers in, and the handoff to Anderson. And Anderson can't elude Dwayne Harper, who sprinted up from the left corner to make the tackle, and the Bears will have to give it up.
Dwayne was by himself out there. He had a blocker himself and a ball carrier. So you see at the top of the screen, crack blocks and everybody, but there's Harper by himself. Good foot action, good fundamentals, keeping his feet up underneath him. What a tackle. It had to be done because Anderson was off and running without it.
South Carolina State, Donnie Shell, free agent out of that school to star with the Steelers. Maury Buford to punt, his first, and Chris Warren, number 42. An exciting rookie prospect for Seattle is back. Aiming toward the sidelines. And they will mark that one around the 15-yard line with a timeout and 7 minutes to go in the opening quarter.
He stirs in the land of dawning. He stirs now in the age of wandering. Now on the trail of beauty, he stirs.
The new Navajo from Mazda. It just feels right.
How much insulation do you have in your attic? 3 inches? 6 inches? Well, the Department of Energy recommends R38 for most American homes, which is equivalent to a foot of Owens Corning pink fiberglass. So grab a ruler and measure your attic insulation. Then get rolling, because 12 inches of pink fiberglass can help you get a foothold on your energy bills.
If you have an insurance repair on your home and you have Allstate, it's in our hands. We know some very reliable contractors. It's our business too. So if you choose a contractor we recommend, we guarantee the workmanship of their repairs for 1 year. That's why you're in good hands with Allstate. A member of the Sears Financial Network.
Bubby, Bernie, and them dogs. The Steelers battle the Browns next.
Midpoint of the opening quarter, no score. Chicago with some opportunities. Steve McMichael had a 101-game streak broken as a starter, has just come into the game and just returned to the Bears family. There was a lot of dialogue in the offseason, said he'd never be a Bear again. And in fact, a trade had been made with Houston for a number 3 pick from the Oilers, and a last-hour move by Ditka negated the deal. He said, nope, I want McMichael back in here. I need his experience in the center of that defense.
Well, there's changes that evolve and have to be made. Hampton, McMichael, Singletary soon, the greatness. We need new people, infuse new talent.
Page gets everyone. Sean Gale gets John L. Williams.
Sean Gale, now there's a football player. This guy can come out of that middle and make stops all over the field. In fact, the Bears secondary against Buffalo in the preseason game was outstanding in their contact on ball carriers. They dominated the game. A lot of things about the Bears are very, very positive. The quarterbacking we can talk about, Dick, but that's the one Achilles heel, so to speak.
Gale has replaced Dave Doerson at safety. Doerson now a New York Giant. 2nd down, 8.
Dent standing up as a linebacker.
Here's the rookie, Derek Lovell, his first carry as a pro, and short yardage out to the 19-yard line. Lovell, a free agent from Oregon, where he broke all of Ahmad Rashad's records as a rusher and a scorer. He's one of only 19 free agents to make the final cut in the NFL this year.
Really tough as a running back to make it. Really, really tough, because you don't come in with the credentials. They may not give you near enough carries in preseason, but he impressed right away. They just don't have a guy like that on the team. Maybe never, ever, with that quickness and explosion. That's what they needed.
Well, they lost Kurt Warner. He's now going to the Los Angeles Rams. 3rd down, long 4.
The run and shoot look. 4 receivers.
Craig, that's going to be intercepted. Sean Gale.
The problem is the pass rush. There's too much push on him. Look at well, the entire group was pushing so hard that the throw was late. McMichael got good push inside. The guy I like is Armstrong now. What a difference in him. But in both cases, they're taking apart that offensive line of the Seahawks. No question about it. And they're taking too long to get the ball off. Craig's got to get rid of that ball.
So Gale's interception at the Seattle 34. The Bears, no score, but another opportunity. They've played this first quarter in the Seahawk end of the field. Muster. And Nice storm on him. 4-5 Seahawks with Jeff Bryant, the veteran, and Joe Nash, another, leading the charge. Yet to see Cortez Kennedy, the #1 pick at defensive tackle, but Chuck Knox said we will have a chance to watch him in action, even though, like McMichael, he's been in camp only 1 week. There is Kennedy from Miami.
Well, he's a big, massive guy, powerful, quick, sure of himself, instinctive, but not in shape. Not in the shape he thinks he is. And it's likely he'll find out today what it's going to take to really play effectively in the NFL.
Neil Anderson. Hole up the middle, but a flag goes down as Anderson stopped at the 26 by Robert Blackman, and it's holding against the Bears.
Well, so far, Dick, Seattle is dodging a bullet. Everything sort of coming apart for the Bears from an officiating standpoint. Things of that nature. The interception, the penalties, because the Bears are beginning to dominate the line of scrimmage.
Holding, number 63, offense, still second down.
Jay Hilgenberg. Jay was kidding us. You only talk about us when we're penalized. But Hilgenberg, who is the quickest of that veteran offensive front from Iowa City, from the Hilgenberg Football Center clan. Tom Kaplan, the defensive coordinator of the Seahawks. Look there. It looks like the professor out of the laboratory.
Well, he's had to change that entire defense, as you know, going to the 4-3, which will help them.
Harbaugh dumps it off to Anderson. And Blackman coming up quickly, and that's what they like about this young man from Baylor University, that he reacts so quickly. And what appeared to be designed for much more is just short yardage for the Bears.
Well, Robinson, the other safety, talks so strongly about Blackman as a rookie because he really makes things happen. And that's the new era in the NFL. In the 90s, you'll see the safety men, the dominant players. A la Ronnie Lott, Easley, all of these people, Fulcher. And Blackman is one of those, and Carrier for the Bears, another big, active man that can make the stop and make the big plays.
Third and a dozen for Harbaugh in the shotgun. He likes to scramble, but dumps it off to Gentry. Good move by Gentry. And finally from behind, it's Rufus Porter to secure the tackle at the 30, about 6 yards shy of a first down.
So far, you can't quarrel with Harbaugh.
Here comes Kevin Butler in to try a long field goal. Butler last year completed a 2-season NFL record of 24 consecutive field goals. Valuable asset from Georgia, missed only 4 all last year, and this one will be for 47 yards. Tomczak to hold. It is good. .240 left in the opening quarter, and the Bears take the early lead.
Oh, here we go! Oh! Good touch, baby. Zombie Blitz! How you like me now, baby? Got good life insurance? All that one word!
For naming the Mazda MPV best in class, we'd like to thank Car and Driver. For ranking it the most trouble-free minivan, J.D. Power & Associates. For naming it one of the top 10 import buys, Motor Trend. And for making the Mazda MPV the best-selling import minivan, we'd like to thank the Abbotts, the Ackermans, the Adisheks, the Agermans,
Mazda, it just feels right.
the Altons, the Ammermans, the
His toy has stopped.
My truck, Mom!
And he has started. You run to the junk drawer for a battery, but which ones are good? You'd know with the new Copper Top Tester. It's absolutely free, only from Duracell.
My athlete's foot kept flaring up. Put it out, it just flare up again. Then my doctor told me about Tinactin. It cures recurring athlete's foot. Use it regularly. It'll keep the fire from coming back.
Tinactin puts the fire out for good.
The rules of etiquette in Bel Air. Never talk openly about wealth.
Yo, this place is huge, man. Next time I go to my room, I'm gonna take some breadcrumbs.
Make polite conversation at parties.
I used to fence at Bel Air. Really? How much you think we could get for that stereo?
Fresh Prince of Bel Air, premiering on NBC Monday.
Kevin Butler with that 47-yard field goal after Sean Gale's interception of an ill-advised Dave Craig throw. And the kickoff comes down to Derek Lavelle, the rookie from Oregon. He's tumbled at the 23. Tackled by Ron Cox. A look at our second half of the doubleheader. And look at that lineup regionally for you. Pittsburgh, Cleveland. How about Houston at Atlanta as Jerry Glanville entertains his former players?
I think Jerry will have his guys ready. Houston can have trouble in that game.
22-yard return.
Quite a lineup, so stay with us on NBC.
Pittsburgh, Cleveland, Dick, what a big game so early in the year. That rivalry, all those years when Cleveland couldn't beat Pittsburgh no matter what they did. I think that's changed somewhat.
And Pittsburgh trying to build off that surprising season last year.
Seattle's been spread every play, and here's your basic run and shoot kind of look.
And he's going long downfield for Blades. Intercepted. Lemuel Stinson at the 30. And they finally bring him down at the 39-yard line.
The problem with that run and shoot is the turnovers come so quickly. Either you're 3 and out if you don't complete your passes, or the interceptions. Now here's a case of sprinting out in a go pattern straight up the field. And Stinson's just going to be in good coverage position. The ball comes down, it's not perfectly thrown, and Stinson just steps in and makes the stop. It's high-risk football. That's why I am not necessarily in agreement with even our own NBC guys about this being the offense of the future.
Yeah, we're going to wait and see if some of the run-and shooters get to the playoffs or a Super Bowl first. Stinson, who had 4 interceptions to lead the Bears last year, gets his first of the season, and the second for the Bears in this quarter. The first led to a field goal. Here comes Neil Anderson, and he's all the way to the Seattle 48-yard line with a 13-yard run.
Well, as I mentioned the last series, the Bear offensive line doesn't have quite the strength they once had. They've got all the moxie and know-how, but they're dominating the line of scrimmage. They're taking it over. And you can see that huge gaping hole straight up the field. I'm sure we're going to see some substitution by Seattle.
There they are, the veteran Super Bowl line still together. Covert, Bortz, Hilgenberg, Thayer, and Van Horn from left to right tackle.
Once thought the best in football, now this could be the most knowledgeable, but they're not going to knock too many people off the line.
First down, and Anderson picking his way gets only a yard. There's Cortez Kennedy, 96, makes his first tackle as a pro, as Kennedy now has come in to spell Jeff Bryant.
Well, Kennedy can just play sparsely, or from series to series, he'll be okay. But if he expects to play for very long, I think he'll run out of gas before you know it.
6'3" and 293, said that's what he weighed as a senior at Miami last year, 293, but he's not in playing condition, even though he worked out regularly, anticipating his return to the Seahawks.
Right next to him, Eric Hayes, another rookie. 2 massive guys inside.
Hayes is 297. Harbaugh, plenty of time. And a first down as it goes underneath to Wendell Davis. Harper with a tackle.
Well, Cortez Kennedy had his first look at being double-teamed. Now, the Bears aren't necessarily having to double-team him. There's a pass protection. Now you see Hilgenberg there. You see Bortz there. No problem. He's got to learn moves. In visiting with him, I just felt him a little too confident, Dick. He said he didn't need any new moves. He had all the moves he needed. He knew just what he'd want to do. And I'm sure he'll be a great one. By mid-season, he'll be one of the better ones. But for the time being, he'll see just how frustrating it can be against the veteran pass protectors.
And down to the final seconds of the opening quarter. Chuck Knox and Mike Ditka open the 90 season. And the Bears lead 3-0.
Working to be the best they can be. Teammates, sponsored by the U.S. Army. Raymond Berry and John Unitas overcame long odds to star in the NFL. Unitas was claimed from the waiver wire. Berry was myopic, skinny, and slow, but together they became an unstoppable combination. Unitas was the consummate field general. Berry, the ultimate perfectionist. As individuals, they made it to the Hall of Fame. Together as teammates, they made the Colts the best they can be.
According to a national survey, employers are looking for people who can handle heavy responsibilities. People with the ability to overcome obstacles, perform under pressure, and work well with others. Men and women with the pride and self-discipline it takes to reach new heights. Which is why some of the most successful people in the white-collar world start off green.
Over its life, a Motorcraft battery delivers enough energy to light up a small park, like Candlestick Park. Shouldn't you install that peace of mind? Motorcraft quality parts from Ford.
Motorcraft energy-conserving oil can help reduce fuel consumption. It can also reduce traffic. Motorcraft quality parts. Peace of mind from Ford.
Welcome back to Chicago, and on the scoreboard, the Rams. The touchdown, a short run by Kurt Warner, the former Seahawk. Kansas City and Minnesota, no trouble with the offense there, and Detroit scores again to take a 14-7 lead against Tampa Bay. Barry Sanders getting the short run for a score.
Well, if Kansas City can get offense, can generate offense with DeBerg at quarterback, they're going to be a tough team to deal with all year. They've got the running game, they've got the defense. They're sort of a dark horse winner as far as I'm concerned.
Second quarter, and the Bears at the Seahawk 38-yard line with a first down, leading 3-0. Throw to Muster. And Muster, the big fullback, finally steps out of bounds at the 22, make that the 17-yard line.
Wide open, wide open. The secondary dropped off in the zone too far, and they lost track of Muster coming out in the flat. No one there. Should have been the strong safety. And in this case, Blackman, a rookie, just didn't realize things could happen late in front of him. But Brad Muster, what a surprise. What a pleasant surprise.
Well, he was a big receiver at Stanford. He caught 78 passes one year, a Pac-10 record, and Mike Ditka wants to involve him more in the pass offense this year.
I like his running, Dick. He made people miss. That 10 pounds difference might be the difference.
Neil Anderson outside. Anderson, is he in? Yes, touchdown.
Oh, there's a replay. We're going to get it now. Hunter made a serious mistake. He underestimated Anderson's speed. He started inside to make a stop. All of a sudden had to get in a foot race with Anderson, and Patrick Hunter, with all his speed, could not stay with that man. Anderson, one of the great backs in football. Just pure speed around that corner.
Butler adds the extra point, and 2 pass interceptions by the Bears have led to a 10-point lead early second quarter.
At Acura, we believe that the best way to discourage limited thinking is to design cars in an environment without limits. The NSX, precision-crafted performance from Acura.
Goodyear's putting their best foot forward with the Goodyear NFL kickoff sale. Starring Goodyear's newest all-season radio, the Invicta GL. Now, when you buy 3, you get the 4th tire free. And we're passing on more big savings on a great lineup of all-season light truck and performance tires. The Goodyear NFL kickoff sale. Miss this kickoff, and you'll miss the point. Goodyear tires are on sale now.
Good times roll with the clean, fresh taste of Bud Light. It won't fill you up, never lets you down.
So the Bears defense sets up a 10-point lead, 10-0, and the 85 Super Bowl team one by one. Doerson leaving this year. We asked Mike Singletary, when will you retire? He told you he'd like to play another year, and he said when he does, he's going to wear a towel, and on it are going to be a lot of numbers. And these are the numbers of the players that he will miss and has missed, have left that defense or his friends while he's been a member of the Chicago Bears.
That's certainly true. All of these great players, we could go through them. But one person, Buddy Ryan, BR at the bottom, but what a sentiment to have, to know you've been through all the wars with him, won the World's Championship. Now each year, one by one, they're out of the game.
Short kick by the Bears, and it is Chris Warren, the rookie, out to the 30-yard line. Warren, who went to Ferrum, Virginia, a Division III school after leaving the University of Virginia, where he played the first 2 seasons. And the Seahawks picked him in the 4th round. In 2 years, he shattered all the records at Little Ferrum College. Here's Craig, who threw one up for grabs. That led to a field goal, and then the long pass was intercepted by Stinson, and that was turned into a Bear touchdown.
How about Craig from formerly Milton College?
Yeah, that's
formerly. One of the few. You don't drop football, you drop college. That's tough.
At the end of the senior year, that's only about an hour and a half drive from Chicago. Derek Lovell is tripped up. You saw some of the numbers that were on that towel. Leslie Frazier and Dave Doerson, 22. Frazier was 21. 25 was Todd Bell. 58, Wilbur Marshall. 82 was Alan Page, his early tutor. 83, Willie Galt. Number 90, Al Harris. Those are the players he mentioned us. He said, I'm in my last games, I want to have all my friends right with me on a towel. Mike Singletary. Well, you weren't his friend if you had the other jersey on. Look at that. Those most famous eyes from Betty Davis there staring into the back.
A giant of the game. He wants to be remembered as the greatest linebacker of all time, and there'll be those that will argue that. There he is, making his big hit again. But he could be arguably the best ever, and that includes some great company. But you certainly would name him among about 10 men that have played the game at his position in the history of football, and he is one of the great ones. But not only a great athlete. And I can recall, Dick, when Jim Finks called me and wanted to make a trade during the draft, and he then traded for our pick and picked Singletary. And I obliviously said, boy, did we make a great deal with Jim Finks. He gets Singletary, and we get like a 5th-round pick.
Singletary comes out on 3rd down, and he doesn't like it a bit. He wants to play every down, but the Bears want a little more speed against the pass. Craig off balance again. He throws one almost into the hands of Donnell Wolford.
Chuck Knox can't like what he sees. He can't like it. Everything Craig's doing is throwing off his back foot, jittery. They're trying to run this 4-receiver offense, departing on what Chuck knows so well, with absolutely no results. They're shattered at this point. He's going to have to get back in there with a tight end, 2 backs, and start playing fundamental football, or they're going to get blown out today.
10-0 lead for the Bears, and Johnny Bailey back to return, stands at his 20. Rick Donnelly. This beautiful spiral.
What a punt.
To the 18. Bobbled. And Bailey, does he get it? Still an open free ball. And down to the bottom might have been Lemuel Stinson, who fought his way and was able to recover for the Bears, but they continue to struggle. The man who has it when they first pile on doesn't always wind up with it after the struggle's over. Yep, the Bears do retain.
That was a picture-perfect punt, and it was just sort of underestimated in a sense, and then taking your eye off it as the coverage guys get there. The ball's up for grabs at this point.
And it was Sean Gale, 23, under the pile, who saved it for Chicago.
Most guys would tell you they don't really think about their hair. Right. Personally, I think most guys want their hair to look good as long as it's not a hassle. That's where Pert Plus comes in. It's a unique shampoo and conditioner in one. So you get clean, more manageable hair than with plain shampoo, but without any extra work. That's Pert Plus. Hey, I admit it. I think about my hair. But it's not all I think about.
Wash and go with Pert Plus. Now available in new family size.
The anti-lock brakes on the 1990 Acura Integra were inspired by those used to stop jet aircraft. And while you might expect to find such technology on a multi-million-dollar airplane, you might not expect to find it on an automobile that costs considerably less.
This soap, they say the little people put a spell on it so the scent of it could last a man clean through the day. Capture the last incentive. Irish spring deodorant soap. The Irish never quit.
Imagine if you could look inside your batteries, if you could see how much power they have left. Well, now you can. Introducing the Copper Top Tester. Absolutely free, only from Duracell.
Let's go back to the Chicago Bear touchdown, Bill.
Well, there's a great block from the outside in on Robinson. And that block by Davis did it. Now you see Muster get his job done here. You see Bortz pulling, but you see the speed coming around that corner. And Hunter really just underestimated the speed of Anderson.
Great block by Wendell Davis, the wide receiver, to drive Robinson away from the play. And nothing Bears, and Harbaugh gives to Anderson. And he's trapped in his own backfield for a loss of 2. Tony Woods, number 57, and also in on the play for the Seahawks, Ned Bolkar.
Well, again, you've got Bryant and Nash in the interior line for Seattle, so they're going to alternate their people. But I'm sure on the sideline, those young guys, Hayes and Kennedy, are trying to figure out what happened to him when he went in there. You know, the difference between a league game and preseason games, Dick, is like driving on an LA freeway or driving on the Indianapolis racetrack. It's a totally different thing. And young players think, well, I know the NFL, but once they step on the field in a league game, it's light years ahead of them.
Veterans know how to save just a little bit during that preseason. As Harbaugh underneath again, goes the short route with a 25 to Ron Morris. And it'll be 3rd and 5. Darren Como, veteran middle backer, made the play. David Wyman, who is really built for this 4-3 defense. He'll be a great middle linebacker for the Seahawks, having trouble with his knee, so he's on a 4-week inactive list. And Como, veteran who's from San Diego, California, was on the Denver Super Bowl team.
Don't break in and tell me he was with the 49ers. He was. That was one of my biggest mistakes among many, is releasing Darren Como, and it was really over contract. But he's really played well for the Seahawks, not only in regular situations, but the nickel and all specialized situations. Very, very good player.
And off to Dennis Gentry, who was close to the first down, but stopped at the 29. As around his ankles, Ricky Andrews, 52 from Washington, and he saved the first down, and it'll bring up 4th and 1.
Well, if Seattle gets their possession now in reasonable field position, it'll be interesting to see if they stay with their new style offense. It's gotten them 0 so far, nothing. In fact, it's unraveled. And maybe there's some things they can do to adjust. But at this point, I got to feel that Chuck will go back to his tight end, his running backs, give the ball to John L., throw the play pass with David Craig, and get back in the game. They've squandered a full quarter.
Buford, short kick. Warren lets it drop. And it takes a bounce out of bounds at the Seattle 37. And with it a timeout, just under 10 to go, and it's 10-0 Chicago.
You think you're better than me, don't you?
Oh, not again. I was better than you in high school. I was better than you in college. And I am better than you now.
There are still some people in this world who can change tax brackets without changing personalities.
You want to put that to a test?
Let's go.
Now?
Now.
For those people, there's a car called the Legend Coupe from Acura, #1 in customer satisfaction 4 years in a row.
Riding right here. Nothing beats a bud, yeah, nothing beats a bud, yeah, nothing beats a Budweiser. Nothing beats a bud.
NBC Sports coverage of the National Football League is brought to you by Acura Automobiles. Experience precision-crafted performance. By State Farm Insurance. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. By Goodyear. Goodyear salutes the kickoff of the 1990 NFL season. And by Budweiser. With that clean, crisp, cold taste that makes it the king of beers. Nothing beats a Bud.
Well, the Seahawks run and shoot has been run and boot. 3 punts and 2 interceptions and only 1 first down, and that was on a penalty.
And now they have 2 tight ends in the game. Let's see what happens. Looks like they've come to their conclusion here.
Darnell Williams, the only back, and it's Craig giving the ball to John L. as a flag goes down, and Williams powers for 8 yards. We'll see if it counts.
Now they can use Williams' ability. 2 tight ends, knocking people off the ball with their big offensive line.
Offside against the Bears.
Preliminary signal offside against the Bears.
Well, we're fortunate, really, that Seattle isn't behind by more. And at this point, within 10 points, they can recover.
Knox doesn't want the penalty. He wants the 8 yards as Williams is out to the 45.
Offside. Number 95. Defense. Decline. Second down.
Richard Dent offside. It's Dent now, and McMichael, the veteran's in with 2 rookies, Tim Ryan, USC, and Fred Washington from TCU. They were drafted in the 3rd and 2nd rounds, respectively. And it's Williams up the middle for a first down to the 50-yard line. John L. Williams, he said his goals this year are to rush for 800 yards and to catch at least 75 passes. Boy, those are pretty high marks.
I'd rather see him go for 1,200 yards rushing and maybe 50 passes. That's more realistic in relationship to winning games. When you have a back starting to catch 70 passes, it means that you're not running the ball very effectively.
Well, but Roger Craig was catching around 70 passes.
Picky.
But maybe he wasn't as effective as we thought he was. First down, and the first that they've earned on their own for Seattle. A reverse that doesn't work a bit. Jeff Chadwick, the former Detroit Lion, takes the handoff, and Tim Ryan, number 96, a star, 2-time All-America at USC, makes the play.
Tim just came across the line, nobody to block him. Seattle hoped that everybody would be fooled. There's Tim sitting there. Good, clean tackle. Darn, I just better not just keep talking about this offensive thing because Chuck needs to get in his basic stuff that he knows so well. Again, 4 wide receivers.
A tough guy. He was a junior Olympic boxing champion for 5 years. It sounds like the kind of credentials that Dick would be attracted to. Scansy in motion, shotgun Craig.
Look out.
Almost got him. He short arms it out to Chadwick. He fumbles, and the Bears have it. Still not hold on now. Maybe in the scramble down underneath. Chadwick got it back. Apparently coming downfield, 71, Brian Millard was able to get the ball.
You see Dent coming around behind the whole thing.
Gale forced the fumble, and 3 Bears were right there.
That is a mismatch. Andy Heck out of Notre Dame, fine young first-round draft pick, but he's in against a really healthy Richard Dent. Just a mismatch at this stage of their careers.
Dent almost took the ball out of Craig's hands. 3rd down and incomplete. John L. Williams at the Bear 38. That would have been good enough for a first down, but Sean Gale, good coverage. And Donnelly's going to have to punt again.
Well, I only can say it so many times. Every pass that Dave Craig has thrown has been late, Dick. Every pass. A full count late. And he's an excellent quarterback. So all those things that they developed in preseason, when you speed up play and then you get in with someone like the Bears, the timing just isn't there. He's got to get the ball off soon.
Johnny Bailey. He's going thus far. Good punt. Fair catch, and he handles it at the 10-yard line. 7 minutes and 14 seconds left in the opening half here in Chicago, and the Bears lead it by 10.
We tested STP oil treatment under the worst possible conditions. In the taxi cabs in New York City. The result? Engine lift-to wear was reduced by up to 50%. And now there's an STP for your newer car, too. When you think about all the satisfaction you get out of going places, why would you ever want to take anything less than America's most satisfying car? The Acura Integra.
You want football cards?
Better eat your Wheaties.
Official NFL Pro Set football cards?
You better eat your Wheaties.
Now in specially marked boxes, get 4 free cards and maybe a trip to the Super Bowl.
We better eat our Wheaties. That's right.
The Knapps, the Pattersons, and the Irelands. Each of these families gets a homeowner discount from State Farm. There's a new home discount for the Knapps, a home alert discount for the Pattersons, and a discount for the Irelands, who've simply stayed with State Farm for more than 3 years. Many State Farm customers even qualify for more than just one of our homeowner discounts.
And like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Wednesday on NBC, a new unsolved mystery. Were these designs really made by UFOs? Startling new evidence. Then you may be able to help capture the Teller Killer. It's a new Unsolved Mysteries. Then it's no mystery where comedy is, with the hit comedy The Finelli Boys, from the writers of The Golden Girls. Following a new Unsolved Mysteries on NBC Wednesday.
Let's check the ticker as we rejoin you here in Chicago. Anthony Dilweg is hit west with a touchdown. Green Bay's tying the Rams at 7, and a couple of DeBerg touchdown throws for Kansas City, leading Minnesota 14-7. And Vinny Testaverde has thrown 3 touchdown passes, a 20-yarder to Gary Anderson to break a 14-all-tie at Detroit, and Mark Rippon a couple of touchdown throws against Phoenix for a 14-0 lead. Here 10-0 Chicago. The Bears start just outside their own 10-yard line. Neil Anderson out to the 14. Underneath the pile, number 90, Terry Wooden, the rookie from Syracuse, and Eric Hayes, another rookie, Florida State. Mike Harbaugh, who is 2-5 as a starter in Chicago. And you hinted at the problems that Mike Ditka might be facing in the quarterback situation. Great teams usually have that strong relationship, quarterback to head coach. Montana Walsh, Starr, Lombardi, and Landry, Staubach. But here, even when they won with McMahon, it wasn't very...
Well, he's going to have to get it squared away pretty quick. Mike Ditka says he just can't get a selection made because there are so many qualities in both cases, positive and negative.
Boy, Anderson just did get the handoff from Harbaugh, who was stumbling as he pulled back from center, and Como makes the tackle after a first down.
Well, at this point, the interior offensive line of Thayer and Bortz, and of course Hilgenberg in the middle, are taking Bryant, Nash, and Como apart. And that's what you see, people getting knocked all over the field and pushed around. You see Bryant well off the ball, and they're just not meeting the blocker. And this is why Nash and Bryant are being replaced, and probably before we get through midseason this year, by the 2 new rookies.
Anderson has led the Bears in rushing the last 3 years. Nearly 1,300 yards last year, has 40 already today. Slant is incomplete. Trying to hit Wendell Davis, and the coverage from Patrick Hunter.
That was well done. Hunter timed that perfectly, read the quarterback, and that ball was thrown. He just intersected the receiver. Well done. You see, just the ball's in the air, intersecting the receiver. Very well done.
Going for the ball, so no flag. First pass that hits the ground from Harbaugh is 8 for 9 and an interception.
Well, for the Bears' sake, if we can just be stable now, and we don't have to look to Tom Zach, and everybody look to see when he'll go in, the Bears have a chance to have a good year. Tom Zach's a good player, but Harbaugh's the future.
The sidelines to Ron Morris. Played at SMU. Patrick Hunter secures the stop out at the 28-yard line, where it'll be 3rd down and 4.
Coming into the game, Mike Ditka has thought of Tom Zach as a quick replacement, coming in and stirring things up. But if it continues like this, well, then maybe he has a quarterback and a stable one. We had the same kind of thing with DeBerg in Montana, in a sense. You've got a guy that knows the offense, got a guy that can function very, very well. But the future in our case was Montana. In this case, many people think it's simply Harbaugh.
Well, others say that the rookie from Florida State, Peter Tom Willis, might emerge by the end of this year if the Bears struggle as their #1 guy.
Could be. That would put Tom Zach in a real vulnerable position. He's certainly an NFL player.
3rd and 4, another shorty, and it's to Gentry. And he has a first down at the 46-yard line. One of the most underrated players in the league the last 4 or 5 years, Dennis Gentry, who does make things happen.
They'll put him in the backfield. He'll be a slot back, a wide receiver, and they use him just right because he's fresh coming into the game, and he specializes in these kind of things. Now, he's going to come out of the backfield into the flat. And as a wide receiver with often a defensive back or even a linebacker covering him out of position for those kind of patterns. Very well done. The offense of the Bears is fully dimensional. The play calling's been good. It was during preseason. A lot of positive things. Johnny Rowland has done a great job in play calling just recently.
Anderson. Ball down by number 90, Terry Wooden. Wooden was picked in the 2nd round from Syracuse. Has a brother, JoJo Wooden, who's a sophomore linebacker with the Orangemen this year.
Wooden's fine young talent with Rufus Porter at the other linebacker. Seattle has 2 outstanding athletes. And both can rush the passer. Wooden liked the idea of playing next to Jacob Green with a real all-pro consensus kind of everlasting pro that'll play very well until the day he retires. His knowledge has helped Wooden.
He's a quality player and a quality citizen up there in Seattle. In fact, he's the NFL Man of the Year candidate for Seattle this year. 2nd down and 10. And it's Muster.
Gee, I like Muster. That's pretty good. He's long, rangy, long striding. And today, for the first time that I've seen, he's making people miss. Now, if he can do that, plus all the other things, pretty darn good.
Rufus Porter, 97, and Melvin Jenkins made the tackle.
And we see Porter, who's a wonderful athlete. Look at that foot movement. Look at the agility and movement, the fundamentals. Yes, Wooden as a rookie and Porter, a 2-time Pro Bowler, give Seattle 2 excellent long-term outside linebackers.
Made it as a special teamer now, although he's undersized. It was when they drafted him about 215 pounds. He's bulked up to 225. He's become an outstanding outside man. And there's the shovel pass to Gentry. He struggles to the 46-yard line, but that won't be good enough for a first down as Rufus Porter is there again. What a free agent pick he was by the Seahawks.
Look at the agility. He sees the shovel pass, comes right back underneath. Perfect, picture-perfect tackle. Well read. That part of the Seattle game's good.
You know, Coach Chuck Knox has always been fond of those free agents, and if you're ever going to look for any team to use players and find the good ones, it's a man who always considered himself an underdog, always undersized, but loved football, and he kind of likes to be the underdog, doesn't he, Knox?
Well, he's the true all-pro coach from the standpoint of all the years of service, the success he's had, retaining his enthusiasm.
And he likes the idea of a guy fighting his way, the free agent type, and he's used them, he's found them, and they've helped him. 2-minute timeout.
Today's small cars are tougher than ever on oil. Their high compression engines not only rev high, they can run hotter than regular small car engines. Their searing heat can begin to break down an oil immediately. That's why there's Castrol, the motor oil that in every grade provides maximum protection against viscosity and thermal breakdown. So use Castrol before your engine does something to get you heated up. Castrol, engineered for today's smaller cars.
This is my family, my wife Stephanie and our son Christopher. My family and my faith are the most important things in my life. I'm Ron Rivera of the Chicago Bears, and I know how important the family and family values are to the Hispanic community. That's why I belong to an organization called the United Way, Via Unidas. United Way extends us all a chance to volunteer to work together to solve our problems and provide opportunities for our children and our families. United Way works in big cities like Chicago, and in small communities like the one I grew up in California. You'll find it working in your community, wherever you live. United Way is there, helping people to help themselves. As a United Way volunteer, I have worked to provide public service announcements both in Spanish and in English to help minority families. In America, we have many precious freedoms, and among them is the freedom to join together to give to organizations like the United Way. When you give, you bring out the best in you. In United Way, it brings out the best in all of us.
This message furnished by the National Football League.
1990 underway, the new decade in the NFL. Bill Walsh already disagrees with our NFL Live people. We're barely into the season. He doesn't feel as yet that the run and shoot offense will be the offense of the 90s, and certainly the way Seattle is executed today, they're arguing in your behalf. The punt by Buford with Chris Warren back inside the 10. Seattle with a final chance to get on the board in this first half, trailing 10-0.
Seattle just needs a couple of first downs to get their confidence in.
Good kick. Maurice Douglas down there to shepherd it all the way to the 1-yard line.
Well, now, Dick, Seattle just wants to run some time off the clock.
NFL halftime. Hope you'll be with us. The headlines on Ditka. This was from earlier today, that Ditka might retire if the Bears win the Super Bowl this year. McDonough said Ditka, Parcells, Gibbs may all be in the final of the year of coaching, that they all might walk, but Buddy Ryan will stay with a new deal. And Al Davis, the decision on the Raiders' future home will be made within 2 weeks. We could almost put that one up every week, couldn't we?
We could have used last year's interviews on that one.
Seattle with Craig. Apparently the ball was touched at the 4-yard line.
Now we've got the crowd.
The crowd and Craig confused. Calls timeout. We got Refrigerator Perry and Dan Hampton now in the middle of the line with Seattle deep in its own end.
At this point, Seattle's got to find a way to get that 2 minutes off the clock before the Bears get it again. They've got to get as much time out of there as they can, because the Bears, if they get it at midfield with their field goal kicking, they're going to get 3 more points. And it's tough, because if Chicago uses its timeouts, they can get the ball back.
Let's go back to Mike Ditka for a moment. It is the last year of his contract, and all of his assistant coaches are on the last year of their contract. So it's only human for especially the assistants to wonder where will they be next year. Do you think Ditka will be on the sidelines with Chicago? Let's say they have an average year, 8-8.
I bet he's back. You know, as a coach, going through the agony and the anxiety of some of this, it's a release to say, by God, I'm not coming back next year. This is it for me. And that's what you're starting to hear from people.
That's just dialogue.
I think it may be.
John L. Williams trying to get outside, and he does. And the big back from Florida is all the way to the 23-yard line. In fact, we have 3 outstanding backs from Florida, and they were all with the Gators at the same time. John L. Williams, James Jones, who's backing up Williams, and, of course, Neil Anderson. Boy, did the Gators have a talent pool at running back.
Florida has really been putting out the great athletes in the last decade. They supply the universities in that entire part of the country.
In fact, you see Neil Anderson, John L. Williams. Anderson was so good as a freshman that Williams was also good. They moved him to fullback as a sophomore, and they played 3 years in the same backfield. First down.
They'll run and shoot again.
Craig. Short pass to Williams. Gains only 3 yards at the 26-yard line.
Well, I like the play of the Bear front four. I really do. At this point, Refrigerator's hanging in there as far as this stamina.
Craig out of the backfield to Williams again. Every call going to Williams. He's pushed out of bounds by Ron Rivera. And that'll stop the clock with 1:15 to go.
I'll bet when they go in at halftime, Chuck Knox is going to go right to his offensive coaches and say, I want Williams with that ball. I want him running from scrimmage with it. We are still in the ball game. It could be a lot worse. 10-zip. He can still play football, still get back, but he can't afford those 3 and out, those incomplete passes, giving the ball to the Bears continuously. You have no chance with that style.
1:15 left in this first half. The Seahawks with 2 timeouts. In case you're just joining us, a couple of interceptions led to the Bears scores. Sean Gale intercepted at the Seattle 34, and Kevin Butler nailed a 47-yard field goal in the first quarter, and then Lemuel Stinson on a long pass by Craig intercepted at the Bear 39. Harbaugh took the Bears 61 yards with Neil Anderson sprinting 17 for the score and a 10-0 lead.
Well, the front four are going to be teeing off. You've got Dent standing up, exploding off that line. Heck's got a job. There's a line stunt.
Craig, down he goes. Dan Hampton gets in on the tackle. And Ditka, anticipating he might get the ball back, wants the Bears to use a timeout, or may have had a second thought.
Well, the line stunt that time, you see Dent coming inside of Hampton, and Bailey didn't come out and make the stop on Hampton.
Actually, Hampton finished up some good business done by Trace Armstrong. Armstrong, who is good-looking and bright and has all the same qualities that makes Hampton so attractive. He already has 3 sacks. And, you know, it's interesting. Here's a young guy, very bright, and in the offseason he said, I've got to make myself better. I'm going to really switch my whole technique. I'm going to try a left-handed stance. I'm right-handed, but I'm playing left-hand. I'm going to use a left-handed stance. He said Charles Mann uses it with the Redskins, and it figures as a left-handed stance, you get the first step, to the outside rather than into the tackle.
Exactly. Most people are right-handed. Now here you're coming out all the way around the entire play. One of the problems, Dick, as an aside for Hampton, I hate to see him get a sack as much as I care for him. Here's the left-handed stance. So his first step with his left foot will not be right into the tackle. He'll have a little bit of room. There it comes.
Craig throws that one into the sidelines. No one near it.
You know, Dick, just before half, I'd like to say I hate to see Hampton get the sack, because that means he thinks he can still play. And that's the worst thing that could happen to this man. When he leaves the game now, he's going to have real problems the rest of his life with his knees. Now he's aggravating them. They get worse by the day, and I don't believe he should be on that football field as great a player as he's been. What a champion.
Do you think it's Ditka because he has a heart for a tough guy like that?
I don't know. Even the sports writers in Chicago are sort of fascinated with it rather than shooting straight and telling the guy that he's got to retire for his sake.
7 seconds to go, and Craig needs big yardage. To the sidelines to Chadwick, but that won't be enough, and it stops the clock for the Bears, so Chicago's going to get it with a minute to go.
At some point, when you're inside the 30 or 40-yard line, you use the clock. You use it up, so that if you punt, the other team doesn't have a chance themselves. And in this case, Seattle didn't do that. They're giving the ball back with a minute to go.
And the Bears have their timeouts left.
And they've got a great field goal kicker, so you could see 3 points racked up fast.
Conley, another fine kick. Bailey for a catch. Whoa, almost misjudged that one. You're going to have to give him a catcher's glove.
So the last thing you want to do is try to catch it over your head, a punt.
Well, it's been a very composed, almost sedate by comparison, Mike Ditka.
Well, if he can continue that mode or that state of mind, his very presence tends to intimidate, so he doesn't need to do much more than be there, and his team will be motivated.
Not Iron Mike, it's maybe more like the Graphite Mike today. Little screen to Anderson, read well by the Seahawks at the 19-yard line. Ricky Andrews makes another big play. He was a choice of the Chargers the 10th round last year, and then picked up on waivers, played at Washington, so he returns home.
Best for both clubs to just get off the field right now. Harbaugh's getting them together. Most likely, only bad things can happen at this point for Chicago.
They have the 10-0 lead. Harbaugh. Gentry, and he's tackled at the 34, just shy of a first down. Timeout by Ditka.
That was well done.
Mike Ditka, we always see, and it's easy to take a man's career and 8 years and all the tantrums and reduce that down to 5 minutes of look at how this guy behaves. But what a lot of people don't know about Ditka is when he says give back to the game and share your success with those in life, he does that. And along with giving to young people and hospitals, he is $100,000 he is donating back to the University of Pittsburgh, their scholarship fund, to say thank you for his education. And those are the things that aren't always told.
Well, that's right. You don't see that much of it in sports. This guy does have a run a little bit deeper than some people think. All he has to do now is just look for the right chemistry and the right 11 people on the field, which may mean that some of his established veterans are no longer on the field or on the squad. You know, Dick, one of the problems with the aging veteran, not only is it not playing as well, but they're a distraction for everybody. They can't practice as much. Everybody's waiting for them to be the leader. They can't do it anymore because they don't play as much.
You can't lead if you're not playing, can you? Harbaugh to the sidelines. The tight end Cap Bozo will celebrate his birthday tomorrow. He'll be 27. It's a first down, but just a handful of seconds remain for the Bears at the 43. They are 43.
They're going to have to get something well down the field this time. That last pass didn't do very much for them. They're going to have to get something 20, 25 yards with the receiver going out of bounds.
4 wide out for Harbaugh in the shotgun. The sidelines for Ron Morris at the 39, and that will give Kevin Butler a chance at a long field goal, but it'll really test the strength of his leg. As in he comes. His longest ever in the NFL is 52 yards, and this one will be 57 yards. A 57-yard shot by Butler, and if he makes this, Chicago will go crazy. As he overkicked a bit, and that's the end of the first half. A half that was all Chicago defense, a sputtering Seattle, and the Bears enjoy a 10-0 lead as we go to NFL Live in New York and Bob Costas.
Okay, thanks, Dick. Coming up on NFL Live at halftime, we'll have all the scores from the early games on this first week of the season. We'll hear from Will McDonough and O.J. Simpson. We'll talk live with Bobby Beathard as his Charger team gets set for the season opener in Dallas. And we'll be going to Tom Brokaw in Helsinki for an NBC News report on the Butch Gorbachev summit. First, let's check scores from the early games on the first week of the season. In the game you're watching from Soldier Field, Kevin Butler missed that 55-56-yarder as time expired, but he did hit a 47-yarder earlier, and Neil Anderson had a 17-yard touchdown run. The Bears, who concluded last season losing 6 in a row, have, mind you, won 6 consecutive season openers. Trying to make it 7, they lead Seattle 10-0. In Green Bay, Don Majkowski, as you know, is holding out, and Anthony Dilweg is at quarterback, and Dilweg has had a good first half for the Packers. They lead at Lambeau Field late in the first half over the Rams, and the Rams have just scored. Even as we speak, they score to go ahead 13-10, the Rams with the lead pending the extra point on a touchdown they just recorded. Minnesota and Kansas City, the one-time Super Bowl foes, are meeting for the first time in a regular season game since 1981. Steve DeBerg and Wade Wilson have each thrown 2 touchdown passes. The game at Arrowhead is tied late in the second quarter at 14 apiece. Big first half for Tampa Bay's Vinny Testaverde. 3 touchdown passes for him, and Tampa Bay leads at the half. There are just like 4 or 5 seconds remaining now in the second quarter at the Silverdome, and the Lions are running out the clock, content to go into the locker room with a 7-point deficit. So it will be 21-14 at the half. 3 touchdown passes for Testaverde. Rodney Peete has a 26-yard scoring throw to Robert Clark for Detroit, and Barry Sanders a 1-yard touchdown run. Phoenix is playing at Washington, a homecoming for Joe Bugle, the new head coach of the Cardinals, the former Joe Gibbs assistant at Washington. But with the Redskins' Mark Rippon throwing 2 touchdown passes, one to Ricky Sanders, the other to Ernest Biner. It's the Redskins with the lead at 14-0. This is just the first half of our NBC football doubleheader. Later today, you'll see one of 7 games, including Jerry Glanville's Falcons against his former team, the Oilers. Other games feature the Broncos, Jets, and Browns. The full day of action continues at 4 p.m. Eastern Time on NBC. Coming up on NFL Live here at halftime, Will and O.J. will join me as we talk live with Charger General Manager Bobby Beathard. But first, we go to Tom Brokaw and NBC News for an update on the Helsinki summit. Tom?
Thanks, Bob. Well, Presidents Bush and Gorbachev are on their way home tonight after day-long meetings here in Helsinki on the Persian Gulf crisis. They issued a very strong written statement expressing their unified opposition to Saddam Hussein's invasion of Kuwait, but at a news conference later, Gorbachev made it clear he does not believe that there should be military action against Iraq, even if Iraq fails to withdraw its troops from Kuwait. As for Soviet troops joining the American forces in Saudi Arabia, well, President Bush said today that he has no objection to that idea.
Ask him to send troops in. If the Soviets decided to do that at the invitation of the Saudis, that would be fine with us. But I did not ask him to do that.
It was not entirely a unified front here in Helsinki. President Bush, for his part, said he believes the Persian Gulf is a separate and distinct problem in the Middle East. But Gorbachev says it is linked to other problems in that area, including the question of a homeland for the Palestinians. However, there does appear to be a linkage between the Persian Gulf and the collapsing economy in the Soviet Union. President Bush told Gorbachev today that he is now more disposed than ever to offer both economic aid and technical assistance to the Soviets. In fact, a delegation of American businessmen now is en route to the Soviet Union to offer advice on how to start a free market economy from the ground up. In the Middle East, meanwhile, more American hostages were released today from Kuwait, and the Iraqi foreign minister tonight is in Iran officially to talk about a prisoner exchange, but it is widely believed that he is trying to enlist Iran as an ally in this Persian Gulf crisis. That's ironic, because Iraq was engaged in an 8-year war against Iran that cost the Iraqis 500,000 men. That's the latest from Helsinki. I'm Tom Brokaw, NBC News, and NBC Sports will have more on NFL action right after these local messages from your local station.
Monday, it's the premiere of the show that guarantees you'll laugh out loud.
Yo, this better than Love Boat. This boy gonna be maxing and relaxing.
Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Then he's a dreamer and a schemer.
He's mine.
He's Ferris Bueller, America's favorite scam artist.
Let's party.
It's a can't-miss night of comedy on NBC Monday.
Our customer wanted to offer full-service banking at every branch. And with Southern Bell's central office-based services, we helped him do that without adding personnel.
But that's only one side of the story. It takes more than technology alone. When it's my customer, I try to help him make his operations more productive overall.
If we can tie a bank's offices together into one system, imagine what we can do for your business. Southern Bell, the one to turn to.
Just wait till your mother gets home.
The Lexus ES250. With so many luxury features, it's fun even driving it around the block, 50 or 60 times. Come into your South Florida Lexus dealer. Drive it around the block.
The Dan Marino Show, Sundays at noon, only on Channel 4.
As we told you a moment ago, since the Don Majkowski holdout just ended, he's not in shape to start today for Green Bay. They go with his backup, Anthony Dilweg. And as we were leaving the air on the last segment, the Rams had just scored. They kicked the extra point, went ahead 14-10. Immediately after the kickoff, Dilweg went up top again, hit Jeff Query for a 47-yard touchdown. And the Packers, late in the second quarter at Lambeau Field, have reclaimed the lead over the Rams, 17-14. Remember, they played a wild one at Anaheim last year where the Rams prevailed 41-38, withstanding a furious late comeback by Majkowski and the Packers. Well, it seems like only yesterday, but it was actually nearly 9 months ago that NFL Live insider Bobby Beathard made a staggering announcement. That's right, in this very studio.
Mr. Spanos and I have pretty much come to an agreement. We haven't finalized the deal, but I'll
go after the Orange Bowl. I'll go to San Diego, and I hope that everything's finalized by sometime in the middle of this week.
So you'd be the GM with complete control over the football operation?
Yes.
And since taking over San Diego's football operations, Beathard has seen his new team compile a preseason record of 3-1. And the Chargers are in Dallas for today's opener against the Cowboys. Bobby joins us live now from Texas Stadium. A really tough booking for us. Bobby, they tell us that before you got in the plane for Dallas, you had some time to go surfing yesterday, and that's what it was all about, going back to Southern California, right?
Yeah, right now I'm more interested in the football than the surfing, but I did get a little in yesterday morning.
What about your quarterbacking situation, Bobby? Tolliver is tabbed as the star of the future, but Mark Vlasic wrested the starting job away from him.
Yeah, that's what happened in training camp. I think that Tolliver, nobody thinks any less of Billy Joe Tolliver, but Mark Vlasic has been around for a few years, even though he was injured reserve. He has a little experience, but he simply outplayed Billy Joe in preseason and earned the job.
Hey, Bobby, speaking of Southern California, my fellow SC alumnus, Junior Seau, you finally got him into camp some 10, 11 days ago. Got him into one play in the last preseason game, and he got kicked out of the game. When is he going to be ready to make a contribution to your team?
It better be today, because I'm a little worried about our team because I don't know enough about it, but I think that Junior, we expect him to be an impact player, and we hope the impact starts today.
Bobby, I, for one, am really happy that you're out there and I'm here. But what I want to ask you, fans are really interested in, who's the best team you've seen so far this year in preseason?
I'm sorry, I didn't. Who's the best senior?
Who's the best team you've seen so far in preseason play, Bob?
The San Francisco 49ers, even though we beat them, they didn't have the people in, and I don't think, I think they have to be the best team until someone proves otherwise.
Bobby, this is a more general question. Some people think there's a dearth of offensive line talent around the National Football League, and that happens to be a weakness of your team in particular. Could it be that the new crackdown on steroid use has eliminated some players that without using steroids they can't get up to an NFL caliber of play?
My own opinion is that that is true. I've never seen such a dearth of offensive linemen. We've tried every way, even overpaying to get one. You look at the bodies now, there simply aren't as many big people, and a player that has been using steroids as opposed when he isn't using steroids, it's an entirely different player.
Let's talk about some of the smaller people, the players that are becoming more prevalent now with teams going to the run and shoot style of play, the compact wide receivers, the smaller, quicker defensive backs required to stay with them. On the pregame show, Will and OJ were in agreement that this is not just a passing trend, it's the offense of the 90s. What do you think?
Oh, I think that it's going to be a big part of the 1990s in pro football. I think for several reasons, not just because of the small receivers, but there again you go back to the steroids and the offensive linemen. I think the run and shoot uses a different type of an offensive lineman. You don't need the big 290-pound guy. You can get the 250 and 60-pound guys, a little more athletic, and I think that you don't have the demands on the run and shoot offensive lineman that you do on the standard pro offense type. So I think that you have to think that this run and shoot is here to stay.
Bobby, great talking with you again. We'll visit again soon, and good luck to your team today in Dallas.
Thanks for asking me to be on. Bye.
Okay, Bobby Beathard, and we'll send you back to Soldier Field in Chicago for the second half after these words from your local station. Stay with us.
These are the cops who try to get the criminals off the street.
Hey, you must be an all-star. He's hitting the ball so hard he's making it bleed.
And order. These are the prosecutors that try to put them away.
The cops try to catch them and I try to cook them. It's my job.
One story, one crime.
From the streets through the courts.
Law and Order on NBC.
Same thing with therapists. You know, people just go to a therapist and start paying money and don't have any data. Don't say, how much success have you had treating somebody like me? Or could you give me some references that I could call and talk to? That's what I would recommend to people.
You say what? Yes, sir?
I was in treatment for 21 days, and I found for myself that the one-on-one and the more concentrated effort you had with one another. There was only 32 people in our whole group, in the whole facility. Some of the other facilities of friends that I've seen have been 150 to 200 people in the same area, and I don't understand how you can get a concentrated effort.
Yeah, I think John's point is very well taken. If you're going to do it, you should shop around. You should shop around and have some references. Don't you agree?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
I was an outpatient, then I went to inpatient because the outpatient I wasn't cutting it. I was around the atmosphere of using and kept on drinking. I went in, I was around people that wanted to recover, and out of that, I don't know, maybe there might be 5 or 6 of us left. But it's the people that want to stay sober and want to stay off of it that do it.
Okay. When we come back, we'll talk about whether or not we need more restrictions on beer commercials. Back in a moment.
He was one of Elvis Presley's favorite singers. His voice is so strikingly beautiful that RCA recorded 24 albums of his tender love songs.
Her lips are much too close to mine.
And now, for the first time on TV, you can enjoy the most heart-touching love songs of John Gary.
Time goes by so slowly.
Escape to a world of romantic magic with these tenderly beautiful John Gary recordings.
Wish I knew if she knew what I'm dreaming of. Whenever we kiss,
Imagine enjoying this romantic magic anytime you want.
Long before you miss me, the evening breeze caress the trees.
Every recording is richly orchestrated.
Just come to me.
John Gary, the all-time heart-touching favorites not sold in any store. Order yours now.
To save COD fees, have your credit card ready and call toll-free 1-800-451-3700. That's 1-800-451-3700. Or save by sending $12.98 for 2 records or 2 cassettes, $16.98 for compact disc to John Gary, Box 025308, Miami, Florida 33102. Or call now toll-free 1-800-451-3700.
From Corsicana, Texas. I'm writing in response to the show that was aired about alcohol advertising and how it affects America's youth. I'm 17. I live in a town that is dry. Alcohol, however, is a common sight here every night. Advertisement by companies is not an influence. Advertisement by peers is, though. That's basically it.
I mean, that's the point. I never saw a beer commercial in my life, and I was alcoholic by the time I was 15. We got to work on the shame base, the hole in the soul. That's what we got to work on.
Because it's a spiritual disease.
It's a spiritual disease. If you don't have your I amness, you know, Moses went to the bush and said, "What's your name?" And God said, "I am who I am." When people don't have their I amness, they're spiritually wounded.
Right.
And see, alcohol's like spirit. It's like ecstasy. All of these things have a spiritual component to them.
You say, yes, ma'am.
Well, I believe that if you're going to try and take the commercials away, the advertising away, you're trying to control the situation. You can't control the situation. We do not have control over the alcoholics. They have to deal with it themselves. If somebody has a beer in front of them, that's their choice whether they're going to have a beer or not.
You say what, yes?
I believe that commercials don't have much to do with your decision. If somebody jumps off a cliff, you're not going to do it too. So somebody shows a beer commercial, just because somebody else is drinking a beer doesn't necessarily mean you have to pick one up.
You, yes, sir.
I've been exposed to alcohol since I was like 17, but through commercials, I could not wait till I turned 21 just to go to the bars, be with girls, so forth like that. I believe that if there was some kind of restrictions on what it was exposed to, that I wouldn't be the same person today.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting, yeah.
Yeah, I resent the commercials that show the nice guy. I'm a nice guy here, and then we go to the bar to celebrate it. That inbreeds into the kids. Well, to be a nice guy, you've got to drink along with the guys. And I don't think they're a good influence on our children.
Well, they wouldn't sell a lot if they showed a sloppy drunk, or,
well, yeah.
You know, they sold a sloppy drunk, or you showed a guy who had 7 beers and rammed into a pole. That wouldn't sell too much, yeah.
There is one beer brand, I don't know, that is showing commercials that say, "Should you drive now?" No. Now, I think those are excellent commercials.
Yeah. Yes.
So they can be done responsibly without us going back to prohibition or something. But I think the ones that glamorize it and say you can have identity if you have this, those are the dangerous ones.
Well, it goes back to what we were saying. You wrote the book called The Family, but it's a family problem. It's also a societal problem, is because we as a society have glamorized it and say the beautiful people are doing this, and if you want to be beautiful and you want to be popular and so forth, then, you know, have a drink.
Yes, and here's the way to have an identity for people who are thirsting for an identity.
You say what? Yes, sir.
You know, I don't think we can blame beer commercials on alcohols. We haven't had hard liquor commercials for a long time, and there's still a lot of people out there drinking hard liquor.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yes.
We'll be back in just a moment. Back in a moment.
It started out as just a good time, a way to fit in. First the booze, a little pot, cocaine, and in the end, anything I could get my hands on. What started out as just a good time ended up a nightmare, and I always said could never happen to me. If this sounds just a little too familiar, please pick up the phone and call now.
Call Benmar Treatment Centers at 1-800-5-BENMAR.
Help us help you.
Race on down to Payless for our $7, $9, and $11 tag sale. Save up to 30% and more. Check out casual and dress shoes tagged at just $11 a pair. Stop in for hundreds of men's and women's shoes tagged at just $9 a pair. And you'll find shoes for the entire family tagged at just $7 a pair. So hurry to your nearest Payless. With savings like these, there's bound to be a traffic jam. The Payless Shoe Source $7, $9, and $11 tag sale.
Is just getting around getting to be difficult? The Lark three-wheel scooter solves that problem.
I get around as well as I did when I was walking everywhere.
Lark has made my retirement everything I expected it to be.
Before Lark, I wasn't able to get out and enjoy my grandson. He inspired me to get the Lark.
My Lark has an optional power seat and gives me extra reach around my kitchen.
My Lark moves up and down these aisles so easily it makes shopping a real pleasure again.
Boy, did I miss coming here when I couldn't get around. My Lark brought me back.
All this mobility and independence comes in a small package. The Lark fits in a trunk and sets up in minutes.
Come ride with us.
For a free color Lark brochure, call 1-800-554-6300. Call 1-800-554-6300.
John has written two really, really good books, and I know there are a lot of books on the subject, but John Bradshaw's book on The Family, A Revolutionary Way of Self-Discovery, and also Healing the Shame That Binds You are two that I highly recommend if you are living with an alcoholic or involved in any way in an alcoholic family situation. And the bottom line is you just have to get help. Some people can heal themselves.
Well, some people stop, but they don't really heal. I mean, they stay on a dry drunk for the rest of their lives. They've already talked about the anger and the rage and the low-grade chronic depression. I think we've got to reach out. Shame is the basis of the problem. We've got to come out of hiding. Shame is about the breaking of an interpersonal bridge. So love heals. I mean, when I went to those meetings and told them my worst stuff, they all gave me their phone numbers.
Yeah.
You know, and here were all these people loving on me.
That's great.
And so it was a healing. There was a tremendous healing.
Well, I said at the beginning of this series, beginning in January, that if we could stop one person from drinking, that the 12-part series would have been worth it. And I got this letter from Louisiana. She says, I'm living with a 27-year-old alcoholic. I've threatened to leave him several times, but can't bring myself to do it because with my love, I know I can help him. We watched your show on alcoholism. It touched us both deeply because your guest showed him the way he acted when he was drinking. And after your show, he turned to me, looked at me, apologized for all the hurt, and admitted he was an alcoholic, and he hasn't touched a drink in 3 months. I thank you. I thank you. Guests of the show fly American Airlines. It's the official airline of the Oprah Winfrey Show. Fly American to over 250 destinations worldwide. American Airlines, something special in the air.
Coming up next on Eyewitness News at 5, was Turkey Point the target of a Castro plot? Also at 5, a look back at the good, bad, and the ugly in 1989.
Coming up on Eyewitness News at 5:30, an important warning for swimmers. Dangerous riptides are back. It's grown by leaps and bounds in the last decade. Tonight, a peek at Fort Lauderdale in the 90s.
1 hour from now on Eyewitness News at 6, jam-packed. South Florida is full of tourists for the Orange Bowl weekend. Also at 6, tempting tips, how to keep those New Year's resolutions.
Walter and Brian have all the weather. Frank and Alan with the latest in sports.
And Bishop is off tonight. Join Terry Merriman and me for these reports and much more on this special black tie edition of Eyewitness News, celebrating the beginning of a new decade of South Florida's choice for news, Channel 10 Eyewitness News.
JCPenney Red Tag Sale through Monday only. Take an extra 30% off already reduced for clearance merchandise store-wide. Don't miss it. JCPenney.
Now you can take Channel 10 Eyewitness News wherever you go at 5, 5:30, 6, and 11. Listen to Ann Bishop, Dwight Lauderdale, Diane Magnum, and Terry Merriman on Talk Radio 790 WNWS. Simulcast Eyewitness News on AM 790 WNWS. Wherever you are, all you need to know. AM 790 WNWS. Simulcast the one and only Eyewitness News. One more reason why Channel 10 Eyewitness News is South Florida's choice for news.
Channel 10, WPLG, Miami, Fort Lauderdale. From Channel 10, this is Eyewitness News at 5, South Florida's #1 5 o'clock news. With Ann Bishop, Dwight Lauderdale, meteorologist Dawn Noe with weather, Gambrell Marshall with sports, and the Channel 10 Eyewitness News team.
Good evening. Topping our first news at 5, some startling revelations tonight from a former high-ranking Cuban official. Apparently, during a tense period in 1983, Cuban President Fidel Castro was prepared to launch an airstrike against targets in Florida. Eyewitness News reporter Carlos Granda tells us Castro's decision came after the United States invaded Grenada.
The main target for the attack apparently would have been the Turkey Point nuclear power plant, about 24 miles south of Miami. During an interview on Radio Marti, General Rafael Del Pino, the highest-ranking Cuban defector, said Castro was worried about a possible U.S. blockade in 1983. Del Pino said the computers aboard MiG-23 fighters were programmed to fly to a nuclear plant in South Florida, and an airstrike would have been ordered if there were some type of action as a result of the situation in Grenada. What would happen next regarding radiation leaks, no one is really sure.
There would probably be some contamination of the groundwater and those areas, as well as some air pollution, which might cause danger much further down the line in the months and years to come. But the worst part of it, I suppose, would be any residents in the local area probably are in danger of their lives.
Florida Power and Light officials say they can't comment on specific security precautions at the plant, but they say there are plans in case of an emergency.
We feel reasonably secure about the safety of Turkey Point because we are right next to Homestead Air Force Base. I think it's important to point out, though, and it's public knowledge, that containment buildings are designed to withstand the impact of a crashing airliner.
The Dade County Office of Emergency Management says after an attack, it would take hours, perhaps even days, to take people to safety.
Then we have a plan that calls for what we call crisis relocation, relocating the population of Dade County north into 10 other Florida counties that would be host counties. So it's a very complex plan, and it requires a tremendous amount of coordination.
Del Pino didn't comment on whether these attack plans changed after the Grenada situation ended. Officials at the Cuban interest section in Washington were not available to comment on the allegations. In Miami, Carlos Granda, Channel 10 Eyewitness News.
FBI agents in Atlanta are trying to ID members of a group which is claiming responsibility for 2 deadly mail bombings. The so-called Americans for a Competent Federal Judicial System says it killed a federal judge in Birmingham, Alabama, and a Savannah civil rights lawyer earlier this month. It also threatened to kill more judicial figures and members of civil rights groups. The NAACP says it's tightening security at its southeastern branches. A death threat was also made against a South Carolina radio station disc jockey after he had just ended a show on racism. An anonymous phone caller told him to remember Alan Berg. Berg is the Denver talk show host whose murder was linked to white supremacists. Northwest Airlines says it has stepped up security because of a bomb threat against an international flight tomorrow. Northwest yesterday issued a warning about Flight 51 from Paris to Detroit. At least 30 passengers have canceled their reservations. Our Washington Bureau reporter Tom Walker says the threat has raised fears of new terror in the air.
The bomb that brought down Pan Am 103 over Scotland a year ago shocked the aviation industry into new safety procedures.
Airlines will complete 100% X-ray or physical inspection
of all checked baggage.
New high-tech bomb detectors have been ordered for key airports, but only one is now in place at New York's Kennedy Airport.
You've got its self-contained power source. You've got a barometric sensor.
In the meantime, experts say state-of-the-art explosives, cleverly concealed in passengers' luggage, are still capable of slipping through undetected.
And we are not appreciably any better. The same thing could happen tomorrow as that happened to Pan Am 103.
It seems as though that many times when we build a 12-foot wall, the criminal finds a 13-foot ladder.
The decision of Northwest to notify passengers of this week's threat was unusual, but authorities say there was nothing unusual about the threat itself. The FAA says there are literally hundreds of bomb threats that passengers never find out about, that most of them prove to be phony. For the most part, the government allows the airlines to decide whether to notify the public when a threat is made. The airline industry is still reluctant to do that.
It tips off the terrorist that you're onto them. It plays into their hands. It disrupts traffic, which is, after all, one of their objectives.
But now that a bomb scare has forced a highly publicized confirmation from one airline, some fear more such threats and more such advisories are sure to follow. In Washington, Tom Walker, Channel 10 Eyewitness News.
Authorities in Panama tonight have discovered the body of at least one American citizen apparently kidnapped by gunmen loyal to Manuel Noriega. The body has been identified as Ray Dragseth. He was a chemistry teacher at the Panama Canal Commission College who was kidnapped from his Panama City home after the American invasion. He reportedly was shot in the back of the head. Reports tonight that the body of a second American civilian was found could not be immediately confirmed. Meanwhile, the Pope's ambassador to Panama is trying to persuade Noriega to leave the Vatican embassy. That word comes as U.S. troops keep aiming loud rock music at Noriega, while diplomatic talks to resolve the standoff continue.
A French medical team is revealing new details about the recent fighting in Romania. They say nerve gas was dumped into a Romanian town's water supply during the revolt, and 5 people were poisoned. The doctors suspect the security forces loyal to the late President Ceausescu were behind that. Meantime, the new government says thousands of members of the secret police have surrendered or been captured, but several hundred holdouts remain at large, defying the government's ultimatum to surrender or die. And in Czechoslovakia, it was quite a day for playwright and former political prisoner. Thousands of people cheered Václav Havel, who's sworn in today as that country's new president. He's Czechoslovakia's first non-communist president since 1948.
People in some parts of the United States are beginning their new year with snow. Snowflakes have been falling most of the day in Detroit. Forecasters expect up to 3 inches. The roads have been slippery, and they might even get more hazardous from the freezing rain that's predicted for later tonight. And it's time now for our first look at weather. Don No has a night off. Walter is here, and we don't have to worry about anything like that. We're finally back to a gorgeous day.
Oh, it's going to be nice over the weekend, too. And I'm glad to see you wearing a bow tie finally.
You like that, huh? We all decided to conform today. Surprised you didn't wear a necktie today, huh? Just to be different.
Took all this to get you to wear a bow tie. Outside Channel 10 right now, the barometer is falling at 30.14. The humidity is 52%. The winds are out of the northeast at 10 and the surface 69 degrees. The temperatures out there right now, very nice, 73 at the Miami airport, 72 on the beach, 73 also in Fort Lauderdale, 74 in West Kendall, and 71 up in West Palm Beach. Here's a look at the satellite photograph around the country now. We've got a low pressure system located right over Missouri, right in this area. It's spreading a lot of clouds, rain, freezing rain and snow in a band all the way from the central Mississippi Valley through the middle Atlantic states and into southern New England. A cold front out of that low center is moving southeastward and will not get here until probably next Tuesday morning. So we look in pretty good shape over the weekend. Lots of clouds over the plains, some snow falling in the northern plains right now, and also some snow flurries and some locally heavy snows over the northern Rockies. The temperatures this afternoon, 31 in the